Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, what's up?
Saw Wyatt jamming out.
Yeah, dude.
What are you listening to?
Tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
It's Superman by Goldfinger.
Okay.
Best song ever.
Somebody said BTS.
Yeah. All my ska homies will know that one.
I went to a couple Less Than Jake concerts. They're pretty good.
You guys are in a territory I'm unfamiliar with. What is this?
My musical tastes are stuck in the 90s. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you're going to be a 90s boomer when you're older?
Yeah. I mean, so are you, technically.
I listen to anything new. I'm on TikTok, dog.
I do too, but I'm just saying, like, my jam, like, my Spotify jam list is mostly 90s.
Oh, I don't even have a Spotify. I guess I'm reverse boomer now.
Well, you're an elder millennial. Maybe you haven't figured that one out yet.
What?
Like, new technology is hard.
I'm the first millennial.
Oh.
Yeah, we're elder millennials. That's what we're called.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the Argent
It's a sign of
Hall.
respect. Like we're the elders of our people.
I'm so old that I'm like, music. Like,
What you mean, like when we bang rocks and sticks together rhythmically?
yeah. Rob, how's your back?
There's a lot going on back there right now.
Yeah. For anybody who didn't catch the pre-show, Rob was like pooping live on Twitch and threw his back out just like Kenny. So it was an issue.
Y'all think I have pants on underneath the screen.
That's why
I'm just assuming you're just like, Daffy Ducking it over there. I'm picturing that though.
when I think of Rob, that is how I picture him.
Okay.
That's probably an accurate statement, I think.
Yeah. So I'm glad your back is okay. I was like worried about it because I know what that could be like, man. I'm sorry.
I've heard that when you get older, you just randomly start hurting things. It's got to be rough. Is this what it's like?
I mean, you want to ask me about my back pain? Go into that whole thing?
That's what
It's tough out there.
being on a podcast with this guy. I'm not allowed to complain about my back pain.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to just be like chill about it. I'm like, man, I got nothing.
He's removed all fucking agency from my ability to feel pain.
It is what it is, I'm afraid.
Well, Black Templar stirring up
out?
the internet. We got table contents time, so we're gonna talk about them tonight. We have put it off until the time was right. That's now. We didn't talk about it last week. We had a special guest on last week. We got to talk about some cool things, Army esports related. But now it's time to talk about the Templar. I'm sure Rob's got a tabletop marketplace for us that is spicy.
Wait, are we doing a table of contents or are we just not doing a Wyatt joke?
I'm doing my table contents.
After those, yeah.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
I almost always do this.
I missed a couple of these.
I feel like you're in a lot more pain than you're indicating to us. Even your response time is highly delayed. Almost like your body is having to compete with neuron.
You need to go take a couple of shots of like Doc Cuddies, numb that up real quick.
Oh, I could snort some of this. So what is this? I got that BC powder, yo.
I don't know what that is. You have a lot of things I don't know what it is.
I feel like my grandma would know what most of those are.
Yo, check it out.
I'm gonna have some icy hot and some CBD oil. You're like, I'm gonna have like some Selena something or other and some BC powder.
I got this ibuprofen.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Well, I got another bottle here. What is this?
If you take like 5 of those and put on a clean pair of socks, you will basically become immortal.
The Proxim Sodium. I'm just going to stack all this. I'm just going to do them all. I got some nasal spray too.
Oh my God, you are an old person.
Dude.
This is on my desk. This is where I work.
Dude.
Let me see what I have here. I have
You're like a frontier pharmacy. Like, got it all.
I'm down to my last container of liquid warheads. I've already crushed like 2 of these. That's what I got to stand by. I'm saving this though. This is just too good.
Yo, have you seen people do this BC powder?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Oh my gosh. So it's like basically ground up like painkiller, but it comes in this little like paper.
That's not, I mean, you could just do that yourself though, right? It's just a ground up aspirin.
Yeah. Look, just
Dude,
don't cheapen it.
Is that like old school cocaine?
Yeah, check it out. So then
they stopped making that in like 1974, and you just have a stock of cocaine in your house.
Yeah, so it's got the powder in the bottom. You just get this little paper and you just take it to the dome, dude.
Oh, okay. You said snort.
Are you gonna have to like
now
rub
you're
your
eating
gums with that afterwards? Like,
what?
all right. If Rob gets really hyper, we know it's cocaine.
He just ate it though. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Oh, that's right. Also, Imperius said they donate, and he does. And thank you so much. But I think I now understand what Rob's really doing. He's like, Dallas Cowboys in the 70s used to snort coke out of the nose spray bottle. So like his nasal spray is actually where he keeps his coke.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
look, who's giving up my secrets here?
That's right. Lizard DNA is different than human DNA, George. Maybe he can't snort. Maybe they don't have a mucous membrane. Like, I don't know.
Could be true.
Could be true.
I feel like most lizards are pretty mucousy though, but I'm not a biologist.
I don't know shit about lizards.
A herpetologist.
Herpetology.
I don't know what's happening right now.
All right.
Why is this about
somebody
me?
who studies lizards?
Because you provide us with an endless source of
it's like
comedic
playing
relief.
T-ball with you.
Like everything you
Maybe
do.
I'm just starved for attention. I don't get enough like validation during the day. This is where we're at.
Everything you do is different.
I mean, I feel like the fact that I picture you with no pants is like pretty complimentary. Like,
I have a tiny butt too. I've been told many times that I have a tiny butt, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't see it. Apparently, it's a deal breaker.
So
sometimes.
lizards can't turn that way. I guess. A lot of weird shit here. All right, let's start the show. You guys ready to roll out to the Cave of Wonders with Wyatt?
I mean,
I'm just glad we stopped talking about me.
Okay.
Oh my god! I hope that Would You Rather is like, would you rather continue talking about Rob for 15 years?
Would you rather know the names of Wyatt's pets or Rob's pets?
Oh man. Well, this Would You Rather is going to be pretty contentious. I feel like this may be up there with Mayo and Miracle Whip.
No, that's a classic.
We'll see what happens.
I guess.
Would you rather have a season 9 of Game of Thrones or have them rework season 8?
Dude, I feel like you're bringing up like bad memories. That's like, would you rather they go back and rework all the last 3 Star Wars movies or just start from scratch? Like, that's the feels, man.
Well, I wouldn't do that because those movies are good, but yeah.
Wait, which ones? The last 3?
Yeah, all Star Wars is good.
Fair enough. So like, I watched some Game of Thrones, but I couldn't tell you what season, what happened, and who, did what and where, and I couldn't tell you, but I know from my Facebook that a lot of people were not happy with season 8. So I don't really have a cat in this fight, but I guess more Game of Thrones is better than no Game of Thrones.
That's really wise statement.
I would agree with that.
It's so funny that like in the last 18 months, like with lockdowns and COVIDs and Tiger King, how I've already forgotten that Game of Thrones was part of my life for 10 years. That like it was it was a decade event that I was so like had so much stake in that I'm like, damn, I almost forgot it existed until now. Like I almost can barely remember like what I was mad about, what I liked about it anymore. So I'm gonna almost say like objectively, it must have sucked if I can't remember it anymore. I can remember more about Tiger King.
It's very divisive.
But I did enjoy the shit out of the show, obviously, and did read the books. And I guess if I were to answer the question, I personally did not like the ending because like I can go on the ride that Daenerys is crazy. Fine. Let's do it. You know, like she's pretty ruthless, right? Like actually she makes the hard decisions. She does what she's got to do. I could buy that. I could buy at that point she made that decision. And especially with the way they filmed it, they made it seem like she was like even kind of confused. Like it wasn't like she came there to do it. That wasn't the plan. You know, when she came to burn the city.
See, I argue the opposite. I think if you look at her character, like it makes total sense that she went off the deep end.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like I can buy that she went off the deep end.
Oh yeah,
I can buy because the plan wasn't to go there and burn them down. The plan was to beat them, and if they single for retreat, like we're going to do our best. In the moment, like even the way the bells are ringing, the distorted filming, the way they were clipping that together, it was very well done.
Dude,
so like,
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
So she cracked there. So like, as much as that's not what I wanted for her, right? Like personally, like my stake in her, that's not the journey I wanted her to. I didn't want it to end there, right? That's not where I wanted to go. The part that pissed me off wasn't that. Like I was like, fine, you changed the expectations I had of the character. It was the end when Jon kills her. I think if we're going to take this move and we're going here, then in that moment when Jon's like, but how do we know? Like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, we're right. They follow us, motherfucker. That's how we know, you know? And then he's like, I'm sorry, and kills her. No. Get down on your knee. You're right. Bow. That's the power.
I think it made complete
gangster
sense.
Mode. Like, cause he's a scared little bitch. And he should have just taken her lead there. And it
has to do with the fact that he's Ned Stark's like true son. But like, that's what Ned Stark would have done.
But if the fucking Targaryen blood makes you crazy, he's crazy too. And so, and it skips generations. They're both the same generation. They're both fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. If you're gonna make me not get what I want from her, make everyone else not get what they want from Jon. So I would want to rework a season 8 with that change. Jon swears his loyalty to fucking Daenerys, and everyone gets fucked.
But as long as my boy Tormund's like gets to like
Tormund's still alive.
Yeah.
Tormund's fine.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Literally, they stopped the zombies. Everything's good. Boom. It's just that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm cool. Yeah.
That'd be my answer. Season 8 rework. All I want to change is one scene. That's it. Nothing else.
Unrelated note to all this, there's some powder on my keyboard.
Yeah. Okay.
Snort it. Snort it right now. Do it.
That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, do it. No balls. Snort that powder.
Straight take it to them. Pass.
At least someone in chat agrees with me.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't buy the whole thing that she was like never going to go crazy. I'm like, dude, did you see her character arc? Like all the shit that happened to her? She was 100% going to do all that shit.
It had been established in her character upon reflection and revisiting that she was willing to make the hardest choices that only somebody who was willing to be cruel in those moments could make. So
you can only like beat somebody down so many times before they break. And then if you take that person and then you give them dragons and you're surprised when they're like, oh, you don't want to follow my plan and you choose war. So I'm going to burn your city to the ground.
And she's not, and it's not like she's some psychopath either. Like she has shown us extreme moments of empathy throughout the fucking series. She has shown us extreme moments of cruelty when necessary throughout the series.
All this bad shit happened to me. I'm going to get mine. And you're the person standing in the way of that. And you want to like fuck with me. So like I have dragons and you don't. Got it. Cool.
Yeah. I was like, I just wanted my
Seems like she just won the arms race. I don't know much about all that, but
well, I mean, like you have to just go back. Like she was the younger sister, who was manipulated and controlled and sold like a piece of meat by her elder brother. She was then like basically like raped over and over again by Barbarian King, and had her mind twisted by that. And then like all the other struggles that she went through all over 8 seasons. And, you know, she has dragons and an army and a bunch of people that are like, oh, you're like the Khaleesi or like the queen or whatever, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And she had a whole lot of vengeance pent up in there. Made total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give that person dragons. That was smart.
Well, I mean, like, nobody else gets them. That's part of the magic.
Well, the undead guy got a dragon for a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
Damn.
So you have to be a Lich Lord to get him, or a Targaryen.
The cooler dragon.
But anyway,
That's cool.
that's a good would you rather.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see the comments. It's going to be so fun.
It's good. Shout out to chat. Yeah, that's right, George. Too long, don't read. Don't be mean to hot blondes with dragon ancestry,
Facts.
or you're gonna get got.
Also, apparently, you're supposed to use a straw or a dollar bill when you snort powder.
I mean, you don't have to.
You
but-
ate it though. Like,
Yeah.
is your mouth? See, I'm not sure on the anatomy of your skin suit to correlation to.
Yeah, is your mouth like super numb right now?
Is your mouth actually
No.
your nose under your skin suit? Is that where your lizard nose is? Is that why you can't smell in your skin suit? Because like the nose is
Oh,
actually.
he's got to like flick his tongue out to
Yeah.
get the scent, like a rattlesnake.
Like a snake.
Yeah.
And none of that. That's not.
Rob is just a bunch of snakes coiled up inside of a human-shaped object.
And now that we have
Oh, is
finished
that
we
it?
have concluded our Would You Rather, right back to talk about Rob.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't take long.
He's an amalgamation of snakes.
It's just
Well,
a pile of snakes in a trench
That's
suit.
that's the new bit. Like
Going on
the guy
pre-order
who
this
is 1
week.
million ants, he is like 12 snakes.
Going on pre-order this week is from Games Workshop is the new Warhammer Underworld season called Harrow Deep, with a interesting price tag of $95. If I recall correctly, the first season of Underworlds was $45, and that was what, 2017. I suspect getting in everything else besides the plastic for Games Workshop has become a little bit more expensive with all the shipping, rising container costs, and supply chain issues, because to have a price increase that significant on this is kind of crazy, to be quite honest. I mean, crazy in a bad way, because I'm sure they just didn't like, we got to make it $95. Why? Well, because of the cost. Oh, okay. And they just announced today, they put out the roadmap. It looks like there's another 2-player core set coming in Q2 of 2022. So I don't know if that's a season or that's the actual core set reprint, which they did, I think, last year. I'll have to look that one up. But just if you're playing Warhammer Underworld, it's interesting. There's also going to be a parrot. Yep. Warhammer Underworld's Parrot edition coming soon. Octarius Book 1, Rising Tide, will go on pre-order this Saturday. It's $50. I think the previous supplements were $60. So this is kind of a price decrease, I guess you could call it. We saw the table of contents today. It was kind of interesting. There's some stuff on Cadians. I think it's 5 pages. And then all of the terrain stuff is in there, like the Sky Shield landing pad, some of the bunkers and stuff. Inquisition is in there. And I'm not sure if it's going to be a direct reprint from Psychic Awakening or not. But there's a large swath of that was given to the Inquisition. And then there's some tyranny rules, I think 4 or 5 pages as well. So if you're, into either Hive Fleet Leviathan or Cadians, you might want this book for the 4 or 5 pages of rules that are in there. Or you could, I suppose, vote with your hobby dollars and wait till the codexes come out for those respective factions and just pick it up then. Because Games Workshop's going to look at trends. And if people buy these supplement books over and over and over for $50, they're going to keep doing it. I personally don't agree with it, but that doesn't mean...
That's why it's a good point. Voting with your hobby dollars doesn't mean boycotting GW. It means making a kind of like a line in the sand on not buying tickets to the hype train right now. Like, because it's just gonna it's not like you're not gonna get these rules. It's just it's a hype train, and they're really good at selling you tickets for it. And so I agree with that, like, hobby dollar sentiment. That's what I did with Indominus. Like, I didn't boycott GW. I just didn't get on the hype train and went without, you know?
And I think I had to actually explain that in my time to cancel Warhammer Plus video. You know, there's a lot of people in there, like, one way or another, either calling me a shill or,
it's time to cancel spiky bits.
I'm like, cool. Don't vote with your free time dollars, I guess. Don't go to spiky bits. But the thing I had to explain to people, I was like, voting with your hobby dollars is not a boycott, not whatsoever. Like, it's valuing certain things, certain products from Games Workshop, or if you don't value buying it from Games Workshop, buy it from your local game store so they get, you know, a bunch of the revenue. It's a very important thing, and these trends are going to be continued to look at. You know, and I think something else is important to mention too. It doesn't matter what, you know, and there isn't going to be immediate results either, because GW is like 18 months out on all this stuff. So even if right now they're like, oh crap, guys, we really lost, you know, Curse City. Oof, that was a rough one. Dominion. Ooh, we didn't sell as many as we thought. Black Templar box definitely didn't sell as many as they thought, because it didn't even hit made to order status. They didn't even sell their initial stock in pre-orders. Like, all the game stores I've talked to are like, yeah, I told them like 30, I sold 10. And I'm like, oofer.
Yeah, there's still Dominion starter sets at our shop. They're trying to figure out ways to get rid of them.
Yeah, so like, just those three things right now, these air quotes retail failures, so to speak, they're going to look at like what went wrong here. Okay, cool. And then they're going to figure out how to reconfigure and re-offer it into a way that they think consumers are going to adopt it in like approximately 18 months. So definitely continue voting with your hobby dollars. It's the ship isn't going to turn around immediately. Like, there's going to be a little bit of lapse time here. So the same thing when these supplements, like, just like I said, I don't care if it's one of the armies I play. I'm not spending $50 on a book to get 5 pages of effing rules. That's just silly. But that's my opinion. That doesn't mean that, oh, yo, I'm really into this Octarius. Like, I really like this whole campaign idea. I like all this. I'm going to pick it up. It's a value to me. And that's important that, you know, if it's value to you, pick it up. So I just wanted to make that abundantly clear. There's also going to be a Crusade mission pack coming out as well for $40. It's just another one of the little spiral bound with a little Velcro strap or elastic strap that has a bunch of Crusade missions in it. Great, fluffy narrative stuff. A lot of people like those. I mean, I guarantee you at just about every game store on any Warhammer night, there's somebody playing a game of Crusade or a continuing Crusade campaign with their Bloods. It's really common with the, you know, people that really just don't like the competitive stuff, and that's great. There's also some dice coming out, and they're reissuing for Octarius, they're $35, and they're reissuing their Tufts. They hadn't put out Tufts quite a long time, and they're coming out with 2 sets. One's called Mordian Corpse Grass and Verdelia Velt, and they're $15.
$15.
I don't know how many you get compared to like Army Painter or whatever.
So Gamer's Grass I've seen the pictures of these Tufts. I can tell you, estimated Gamer's Grass for $6.49 gives you twice the amount of Tufts. And they have like, I don't know, Kenny, what, like 10, 15 different Tuft sets?
GW used to make Tufts back in the day when Tufts were new. And it was like them and Army Painter. And I remember like I bought GWs a couple times and I was impressed with the quality of the actual like look of the vegetation. Looked really natural. But then I got my first Army Painter one in and I had like enough to do 2 armies worth. I was like,
Yeah,
so
where it's like, oh, I get one thing of Gamer's Grass for like $6.50 and I can do 30 Space Marines worth of bases.
It's kind of a strange move because
still have some left over. Like,
because Tufts are everywhere now. Like they're not. It's not.
Everybody's got Tufts.
It's just not
I mean, if they had rolled out and we're like, oh, we're bringing Tufts back, and we have like all these different sets and like these new things. We have like long Tufts, short Tufts, jungle Tufts, and things.
I still reserve a little judgment because what I remember the last time they had them was like they were of a cinematic quality that I was very pleased with. So I'll see, like, because not all Tufts are created equal as far as how they look. So I'll see. I'll get my hands on some because I'm intrigued because it does resonate with certain time in my hobby development when I had my hands on them. So, but I already don't like the price, especially with like Shadow's Edge minis, Gamer's Grass, Army Painter, all make really good stuff. So we'll see. Yeah. But it's intriguing because they were actually one of the OGs. It's funny that they didn't carry them forever. Like it's
just like, I don't know. Like, so my whole thing is like, I can be down with like Citadel paints, right? Not the best, but they're okay. I can get down with the models for sure. Dope models. I can get down with the game systems. Dope game systems. The thing I really rail against with GW is their peripherals because they're such like blatant overpriced garbage that I'm just like, I just can't ever support that. Like the clippers, the fucking scraping tool, their hobby knife, like the Tufts, the basing materials, like all that stuff. Like it's just, you can go to any like scale modeling company who's been doing this for way longer than Citadel has, get way more bang for your buck at a like literally half the cost, as we just showed. I for those not watching, I pulled a thing of Gamer's Grass out of a drawer to look at the price tag, right? Half the cost for more. And there's like 20 more companies, like probably way more than that do like scale modeling stuff that look way better than what they do for a way better point cost. So I'm just like, I can't.
No, it makes sense to me now. How much did you say it was again, Rob? You said it was $10, $12?
15.
15? Impulse. It's something.
It's like, and that's how they like their clippers, like all that, their brushes. It's all set up on impulse specs because you're in the store getting stuff already. Mm-hmm. So like, I get the business model, but I'm just like, if I'm at a local game store, I'm like, buy this other stuff so you can like get more for your dollar than this like garbage Citadel stuff.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So that's slightly trigger. Fucking GW with their coming back with Tufts. Are they coming back with their bits catalog? Sorry.
Anyways,
sorry.
No, they don't.
Something people actually wanted for the last 10 years, 15 years.
I don't think they're set up to even do that anymore.
No, they're not.
Infinity's coming out with a Kickstarter. It's basically tag based. It's called Tag Raid. It's coming out towards the end of October. Looks pretty dope. That
tickles my pickle. Some dope anime robots. Like I'm down.
And I think I'm looking at it right now. 2 to 4 player miniatures game that simulates skirmishes and multiplayer combat set in the Infinity universe, high-tech sci-fi universe that reflects a near future of manga aesthetics, exciting and packed full of action. It kind of looks like it's on a hex board, not exactly square. It looks like you assemble the hexes in some way. And there's some external marker tracking. Maybe you guys level up or something, a few templates and things. Looks like some cardboard or balsa wood laser cut components. But I imagine it's going to do pretty well because the minis look dope. The painted ones. They posted up.
You know what we haven't talked about is that Corvus Belli actually came out and said they're going to start making stuff in plastic. Or resin, one of the two.
It
was like a month ago.
Yeah, they have adopted the CeoCast technology, which is actually in Spain there. It's a Spanish company that a Spanish resin. It's not resin. It's silicone. It's a Spanish silicone company that has come up with this amazing machine that was adopted a few years ago by a couple of big Kickstarter companies, and now it's proliferated down. I know Warlord Games has one because I saw it in their Instagram pictures from their open day. Creature Caster has one. That's what they made the Children of Ruin out of. And what it is, it's basically a hydraulic press that can turn It's basically an injection molding machine without the injection molding. It using RTV silicone rubber to just through different density and pressure just fills the molds, and it does it like a traditional spin casting, except for not instead of metal, it's thermoplastic.
Interesting. All I saw was they were like, "Hey, we're going to do this," and they showed side by side of like, I think it was like a drone or something that was like, "This is the plastic version, this is the metal version that we've been doing," and I was like, "These are the same picture. Like
this is same
like,
picture."
Yeah. And I only say that because I think Infinity is a really cool system. I think it's a really cool game. The models are dope, but so many people are like, it's metal. And without ever like building or painting an Infinity model, they're just like, oh, it's metal. Ew, make the sign of the cross and like kind of hiss.
It means it's counterfeit. If it's metal, it's counterfeit.
It's like, regardless of how dope it is, like, they don't want to do it because it's metal. And so if they start making a bunch of like plastic / resin stuff, then they could really like expand their community.
Another good thing about the COcast thermoplastics is that it's super strong. Like you can literally bend the parts. You don't have to prime it. You can paint right onto it. It's recyclable even. And for the companies themselves, they can snap the parts off the sprues, throw the sprues into like basically a meat grinder
and keep recycling it.
Grind it all up into pellets, throw it back in the machine.
Holy shit.
Or if you get it and it has sprues on it, whatever you don't use, you can just literally throw in your recyclables because it's recycled. It's a thermoplastic. It's not the GW inelastic plastic.
I remember you used to be able to do that if you took a tour of like the manufacturing place in Memphis. Like you could like do a sprue. I think it was like a rhino or something. And then at the end they would feed that into the chomper or the grinder or whatever to turn it back into pellets.
Oh, I didn't know that. I never saw that. I never went to the Memphis one. I went to Baltimore when they were doing production there.
Oh man. It's almost like 10 years ago at this point. Pretty close. In 2012, before they shut it down.
Yeah, in 2013, they moved all machines back to England to run extra shifts because I
don't even think the battle bunker's there anymore. I think it's gone.
No, it's there. It's in the front.
They still run it? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. They've shut it down and reopened it a couple times, but I believe it's still open. So good things are coming from COcast. There's a lot of companies out there that'll be like, oh, we got this new it's our own special plastic, and they're not going to tell you that it's COcast, but it actually is, because some companies are like, we don't want you to know. But I think it's very important that people understand that this technology is out there, and the quality, as you mentioned, is almost the same, if not better, as using metals. And this machine is incredibly affordable compared to injection molding for Kickstarter companies and other smaller studios. So we're going to see a lot more of this material and companies switching to, a plastic injection molded type thing, but it's not true injection molded, but it's amazing stuff. And it's going to change the hobby going in the next 10 years, between that and 3D printing, of course.
I'm such a fan of like their community outreach and the way they talk to fans and like go to trade shows and like the way they manage their game and stuff. Like anytime I can give a glow up to Infinity, like I'm going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely do a good job. I touched on it briefly that, Black Templar Army box might not have sold as well as GW anticipated. Don't know if it's because there maybe is not as many early adopters of the faction. Maybe their marketing didn't take, or maybe folks just order it from their local game stores. But all the stores that I talked to ordered a bunch, didn't quite sell through them all. The value proposition might not quite be there because it's basically a combat patrol box, which of course you do get value in. But then at the $200 price tag, you're basically paying for early access to the codex and the cards, which again, if you're like, yo, Black Templars are my jam, I'm going to buy this. Totally understand. But for some people that are just like, I just want something different. All these guys look kind of cool. $200. I don't know. Like I can kind of see both sides to it. And I think that's kind of where the hesitation was for this release. So I don't know if that means we're going to see a lot more of these on the market. But going forward, just kind of keep that in mind. The Orc Beast Snagger box actually had more value because the book in there was, technically a full codex at $50. Kind of interesting. If you're in the Marvel Crisis Protocol, which may be the best game you're not playing right now, there is a huge update coming. Word on the street is November for the character cards and some of the core rules, because the game is actually in November will be 2 years old. I know it doesn't seem like it. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the past 2 years, but some of the cards and some of the characters that they developed for the starter set and everything up to basically the X-Men expansion came out in November of 2020 are probably going to get reworked. And they've already released, some of the newer cards. They're also going to a multiple language format. So they kind of slid the cards to the side and, just so there's enough room for everything. They're not quite as dope looking, but it's easier to present the information, which I can definitely understand because I'm all about some game aids on the tabletop. And that's what I really like about this game. So fundamentally, there's going to be a lot of things changing with the game. So if you are on the fence about, I keep hearing you drone on about Marvel Crisis Protocol, fine, I'll check it out. You might want to check it out in November because everybody will be on the same, relearning the core mechanics. And when I say relearning the core mechanics, it's not that many pages of rules, to be quite honest. Really, the most difficult thing about Marvel Crisis Protocol is the sequence of dice rolling, believe it or not, and modifying your dice is kind of interesting. But once you kind of wrap your head around it, it starts to make sense, like versus priority and versus things like that. So just kind of, keep an eye on it. It's definitely going to be worth checking out. And more game store news. Some of you might have heard of Flesh and Blood. I think I said that they're an Australian company. They're a New Zealand company. Apologies. But that game is out. Well, it has outdone Magic the Gathering sales-wise and also print run-wise. If you compare it to the early days of Magic, how they scaled up print run-wise, that's kind of happening right now too for this game. So it's probably going to be worth to keeping an eye on. Because Magic's 28 years old, believe it or not. It's almost 30. And this game is basically 2 months in a row is outperforming this game. There's a lot of stuff going on with Magic. It's not worth even getting into on here, but if everybody has an opinion on Magic the Gathering, I guess at this point. But Flesh and Blood is doing well. There's a new set out that has a lot more first edition product than perhaps was necessary, I guess. So they're probably going to end up going through a little bit of growing pains. If you played Magic back in the 90s, you remember kind of there were some hiccups around the Chronicles and Homelands expansion releases. They might have made too many and pissed a lot of people off. So might be right borderline with that with this Flesh and Blood game, but the values on some of these cards is just silly. And game stores are adopting it, and it's definitely great for game stores because with Wizards of the Coast going direct to consumer on Amazon and kind of cutting out game stores a little bit, they need all the help they can get, and this is definitely one of the games that is doing that right now. So, yeah. Some people in the chat are asking about BattleTech. BattleTech's kind of got a bit of a resurgence because it is a bit popular. Reddit has kind of proliferated the whole like, hey, let's play BattleTech instead of Warhammer 40K because FGW.
I don't think that's actually the case. I think it was a meme more than anything else. It's
selling a lot. If you can find the product, the starters are actually going for a lot because it's actually kind of hard to find right now.
Are we talking like the new ones or
no?
Like, the new ones from Catalyst? Okay,
yeah.
Like I know they did really well in the Kickstarter phase, but not after that.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the problem with Kickstarters. It's a massive pre-sale.
It's also like BattleTech is one of those games where they have like a really devout like OG fan base, but they don't get like new people because it has like a lot of similar roadblocks that like 40K has to like entry, like into the world and stuff. It's also like even the newest edition of BattleTech is so incredibly crunchy for rules. So somebody who is like playing 40K and then like arbitrarily decided they were going to stop playing 40K with all of like the hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars they put in because of a bunch of guys on 4chan and go to BattleTech, like, and then they look at that and they're like, oh, this is like crazy crunchy. This is like an insanely dense war game. Like, I just don't think that happened in any huge numbers.
I don't know what to say, man. I'm just seeing the trends.
I mean, there was definitely a lot of online memes and like, we're all gonna go to BattleTech and, you know, quit 40K. Like, I very much doubt that actually happened. That there was a lot of people that never actually played 40K that started a like meme surge of, oh, let's boycott 40K and go to BattleTech. And I don't think anything actually happened.
I mean, I haven't seen a person playing it. I mean, so like I can only comment on what I see. And like, I've seen some people sharing. I've seen people sharing BattleTech miniatures on Twitch in my streams, but they're the same people who were sharing BattleTech pictures on my Twitch last year. You know, and at the game store, I haven't seen any with my own eyes. I've seen the internet influence of it.
The early, like late 90s, early 2000s, right? Like going all the way back to like MechWarrior 3, MechWarrior 4. Like, I've been a fan of BattleTech. I have legit only ever seen in like almost 20 years of tabletop wargaming somebody play BattleTech in real life at Adepticon. That is the only time I've ever seen it happen. And even then, it's the same guys like every year, like the last 4 Adepticons that we've been to since we had to skip a year. Like, it's the same group of people. There's not like this huge resurgence in BattleTech happening. Now, a lot of people bought into it, but are they like playing at home with their buds, or is it happening in game stores? Like, I think it's the first one.
Yeah, it's hard to say. But yeah, it's all trends and stuff to be kind of aware of. Also, the Joy Toy action figures that were on made to order from Games Workshop, you can actually find them on eBay right now. Ooh. Because a lot of folks had ordered them in from Asia, Southeast Asia, where they were on pre-order, and they actually shipped out around early October.
Well, I don't have to worry about that because you're going to send me one, right, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do with that?
I forgot.
Wow. Make a sticky note.
I don't have any sticky notes. I'm all out.
Rob is holding a pack of full sticky notes right now. It's a brand new pack.
This is a fresh one. I can't go wasting a fresh one.
Bro, you can't put one sticky note on there. Sounds like you're squelching on
organize my show.
Sending me one of them Joy Toys.
They're going for about like $70, $90.
How sick would it be if he just sent you a link to his eBay listing for $70?
Got him. Nah, not doing that.
eBay.com/spikybits. Wyatt only.
Wyatt get wrecked. So if you don't want to wait the 6 months for me to order, go on eBay and spend like $70, $90 on one right now. But there'll be more on the way. I'm sure these things are going to be a lot easier to get going in the future. But when will then be now? I don't know. When do we get those speed paints? That's what I want to know.
When will I get my Joy Toy from Rob? Let us know in the comments.
It's true.
Speaking of which, anybody filling out our Q&As for Patreon?
Ooh, yeah. God, slackers.
There's like 30 of you guys now.
Come on.
52.
Ask us questions. It doesn't have to be Warhammer related. We'll answer them. You're paying us.
That's true. Does Rob have pants on?
No.
Kind of.
No.
Sort of.
I mean,
hypothetically.
If you count his skin suit.
The Schrodinger's pants. Until definitively proven, he has and has not pants.
Yeah, perfect.
New t-shirt idea.
All right, you want to talk about these speed paints real quick so we can talk about Templar?
Yeah. Why? What do you think?
I mean, I haven't used them, but I'm 110% positive they're better than contrast paint.
They are. What I liked most about them was it just straight out of the pot. Well, dropper bottle first, straight out of the pot, one coat, dope coverage, no effing around, no special primer. Airbrush primer. I used their white spray primer, and it looks good on both. Super duper easy to use.
I mean, you sent me a picture of that Deadpool you painted with the speed paints. I was like, that's legit. That looks good.
That was like one of the best things I've ever painted, and I spent like an hour on it.
Oh, and before any bitch ass YouTube comments happen, we're not getting paid by Army Painter. I wish I could get kickbacks from all the sales of speed paints.
Did I send you that comment?
Oh, you did, yeah. Yeah, some real small dick energy on that comment. No, we don't get paid by Army Painter guys.
Yeah.
They're just cool.
Let me backpedal for 1 second. So Army Painter has announced a new line of paints called Speed Paints, which are highly comparable to GW contrast paints. There's a video on Army Painter's YouTube channel. And Rob has, to my knowledge, the largest collection of speed paints in the country right now.
Yeah. He's got more than 3 colors.
To press coverage, and he has already completed a model in his Crisis Protocol Force that he has been actually using a pre-shade and contrast formula to curate this whole time. So he's got... It makes sense why they wanted him to have it, because like he's been doing some good stuff with contrast paints as is with his Marvel Crisis Squadron. So take a look at Spiky Bitch, take a look at the Facebook groups. You can see this Deadpool for yourself. And
I bugged the shit out of them for these.
Make a good case for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, yo, look what I can do with this contrast paint. Imagine what I can do with
it's almost as objective as a test bed as I can imagine, was you getting your hands on them. That's how you've been curating your experience in Marvel Crisis right now. So
yeah, I was just like, there's 80 figures. I'm never going to paint them all if I paint them conventionally. I got to come up with a fast way to paint these figures that looks good. So, and I painted up Captain America, which, you know what? I think I got the same amount of colors. I bet you I could paint a Cap in the speed paint and then compare the two, because I suspect these are more vibrant than contrast too.
It looked like it, like the red.
It did. It looked more saturated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like saturation is the term you're really looking for there, because remember, as I've mentioned, as I've educated you multiple times, when you use a value sequence to inform a hue, the saturation is what you're always going to be concerned with. So it seems like the saturation dial is turned up a little bit.
So the thing that sparked my interest was like contrast is like goopy as fuck, right? Like it'll settle in the recesses, but you're gonna have this like thin coffee stain type look on any like raised details or flat surfaces. Whereas with the Deadpool you painted, it looked like it had a somewhat even coverage on all of like the folds in the cloth and his big, superhero muscles and all those types of details, where it wasn't like so thin to the point of being like a pink color with this like dark red in the recesses. It was like a bright, vibrant red, thin glaze coat almost on the details, and then like a darker red in the details. Like it was what contrast should have been.
That's also why GW had to go out of their way to tell you to use a special primer, because the primer is not white that they want you to use. It's off white, right? Like it's a warm white.
It's like eggshell.
Yeah. It's so that's deliberate, because that will actually help withstand the phenomenon that you're talking about. And so Army Painter seems to turn that dial up on saturation a little bit. So remember, Rob is in the proofs of the pudding. He did use black and white, and it doesn't look pale. Like it's not a pale red.
No,
it's the best way to describe what occurs. The pink that Wyatt is referring to is a pale red phenomenon that occurs in any paint that you've ever had, like mint green, pale yellows. Those are just mixed down with white. That's what happens. And so red, we call it pink, right? It's actually like the pinks I like are actually pretty saturated. Like I don't like white plus red. That's pale red. It's terrible. You know what I mean? So yeah, Proof's in the pudding. I think you throw it up on the Spiky Bits group page, right?
Yeah, it's on there. It's in the video.
I was at Marvel Crisis Protocol night yesterday, and I was like, yo, look at what this speed paint shit does. And like the 7-8 people that were there at the time, they were like really impressed with it because some guys had been painting their stuff like in the traditional way, right? And then some guys had been using like, contrast paints, and they were like, they didn't like it. Like they didn't like how it turned out. They felt bad, like buyer's remorse, right? And I was like, well, Army Painter's coming out with the speed paint stuff soon. Like, look at what it looks like on Marvel Crisis Protocol, and they were immediately dick hard on it. So, like, I think it's going to do well.
Which I like. Which those are the perfect models for it too, right? Like
they're. Oh yeah, they're great.
I think they're the perfect amount of like enough busyness in the sculpt to hold what that type of paint needs to do, but still like not the flat surface that a Space Marine is. It's like that perfect middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, if you're still on the fence when this stuff comes out, just pick up the starter box. It's basically free in GW money at that point.
Or don't just buy a single pot for less than $4.
Yeah, just try it out.
I'm not sure where you're going to be able to get the pots by themselves. It might be longer.
No, well then. Yeah.
What's the starter box going to cost?
They're generally $40-$50 from them. It's basically free.
Shit, I got a scraping tool from GW for $30.
Yeah,
that shit doesn't even work all that good.
I still have it. I'm never getting rid of it.
I like the one Jason did with for curved surfaces. Pretty dope.
I was saying exact same thing is the back of every X-Acto blade for literal pennies.
I used both today in my webinar. I was like, because I couldn't find my X-Acto, which I just found in my drawer.
Kenny, proven live on air, you're such a shill.
No, I don't get rid of the scraper because it costs $30. I don't fucking barely use it.
Yeah,
like it's literally the back of an X-Acto blade. Like,
I'm pretending to be the people online. Like, if you say anything nice about Games Workshop, you're a simp.
Sipping on GW. I've dedicated like my entire professional life to Games Workshop products, so
or the hobby in general. Hey, speaking of which, let's talk about some Templar stuff so I can go to sleep.
Templar stuff, yeah.
Us lizards got to sleep.
Oh, the Templars. Man, I was listening to Warhawk recently, and Sigismund does a lot of really cool shit in that. So I'm like, I can see why people are hype on Templars.
I mean, they look cool. I mean, Templars.
It's too bad Abaddon killed him, though.
Sometimes it'd be like that. Templars were my first painted army. For
Templar have a baller. They have a baller look, no doubt. Great aesthetic.
Yeah. It's very, very, very 40K.
And you can pro tip airbrush or primer the shoulder pads separately, white, and then block in the black around it.
I think I do that in my Black Templars video.
Hey,
wow.
She's like, you paint the white by hand like a goddamn adult.
Fuck you, Rob.
They're like fighting over who can get closer to me.
All right, so let's talk
so much.
So last week we didn't have as much information as we have this week. One of the big questions I want to ask right at the beginning was we looked at some of the vows. We didn't know what they applied to. We were like
everything,
vows.
Basically.
Literally everything. It's the same as any super doctrine. So anything that is Black Templars keywords. So I think it's everything but servitors, right? In the Marine Codex. That's how it works.
It says unaligned.
Yeah, I think that's like
nitpicking.
Basically just
what we really mean is vehicles.
Yeah.
So the holdover like that Chaos Codex has, like doesn't have.
Turns out all your Redemptor dreadnoughts, Contemptor dreadnoughts, land raiders, land speeders, all that shit. Yeah. Everybody gets vows.
So we weren't, when we talked about it in between shows, we weren't initially that impressed with some of the risk reward to some of the vows, but then it was like, well, let's see what else gets these vows.
And it turns out that, everybody having vows is pretty cool, especially when one of those vows is everybody gets a 5 invul save.
Mm-hmm. And the risk, the damnation. To
also like, so on top, we've been saying like 5 up info save, right? On top of that, you can't be wounded on 2s.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of a big deal.
So you get many. So this is the one that we really liked, but you don't get the benefit from cover. That's the right. And so we were like, I don't know, but if it works on vehicles, that's kind of tight, right? We don't know. Me and Wyatt were talking about that last week, and so that's our favorite one right now. Is ghetto? Really, it's like transhuman. You can't wound my shit on 2s, and I get a built-in 5 of auto. I have to give up cover, but you know what that's really good for is fucking vehicles, man.
Yeah, dude. Because I mean, like, okay, no, you can't benefit from dents, so you're not going to get your -1 to hit.
Oh,
okay, whatever. You don't get your +1 cover save. Like, too fucking bad. Like, nobody cares. You can still use obscuring. Like, that's like the best defense is not being interacted with. Yeah. And then when you are interacted with, you can't be wounded on 2s.
You can't always
you have a 5 invul.
You always can't move a model to this optimized position that you theorize. So, like, what's the best possible thing, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10 is raw dog and vulnerable save. Mm-hmm. And some other it's 2 forms of damage mitigation, right? One of them manipulates the wound roll, and then the other one manipulates your follow-up save roll. So one of them afflicts your opponent, one of them buffs you. Like, it's super dope, and what you give up for it is fully acceptable, especially when you consider that, like, MSU tanks and like attack bikes, land speeders. Fucking, that's the first thing I thought of. Why I said it at the same time I was thinking it, man. We were talking in tactics today. It's like, shit, I'm about to melt a gun. Fucking land speeders looking real good with 5 vulnerables. Yeah,
so it's like, this is kind of like our discussion on disgustingly resilient. Tight in some instances, not so tight in other instances. But it's like, is having a 5 up invul save on a criminally overcosted gladiator grav tank cool? Like, no, it's not cool, because you're never going to run those. They suck. Having that on a land raider, kind of okay. But then when you get into things like rhinos, land speeders, attack bikes, quads, the new storm speeders, right? Whatever those are called.
I mean,
even something like a Redemptor Dreadnought.
Play against Drakari and get endlessly annoyed every time this like 6 wound fucking skimmer tank bangs out a clutch 5.
Dude, yeah, exactly. And then like the thing that everybody is chasing with Space Marines is like, how do I get an invul save on my Redemptors? Because having 2 to 3 Redemptors really, really popular. Yeah,
and everyone does Iron Hands shit, like Iron Hands shit. So now you get to have
Death Watch, like they also do it. But like, yeah, now like Templars, you get it for free. Super cool. Like, I definitely think we're going to see this as like the, like lizard brain, caveman tactic of Black Templars. Take this vow in every instance. Like, just my whole army is a 5 invul save.
I'm sure it's more nuanced than that.
Solid one.
I'm sure it's more nuanced than that, but I'm very pleased with this vow. So that's a follow up to something we were. One of the reasons we didn't talk about but Templar last week was like we didn't have enough info, and that was specifically one of the things we were talking about. So I wanted to circle back to that. But there's a few other like takeaways and cool things. I think Rob's been looking at them all day, right?
Yeah, I've been definitely flipping through them. Like, obviously you touched on the vows, which are, pretty much, I think one's going to be better than the other. I mean, we don't have to super break that down, but that's the best vow as I see it right now. So moving on, that's our favorite one. Let's move off of vows. I think there's definitely some must-have stratagems, like the chaplain one, the bombastic delivery, where you was it auto passed. One additional. Oh, it's automatically inspiring. So if you don't take Grimaldus, I think Grimaldus has where you can reroll it or 2+, I forget. But he counts as your Master of Sanctity. So I feel like you either take him, I think it's per detachment. You either take him, you take a Master of Sanctity, you're probably going to take this.
And that's your chaplain equivalent, and this helps you auto pass your litany.
Yeah. Because, they get like the special litanies because they don't have psychic powers.
That's their jam, is litanies. So litanies are a big part of the Templar lineup. So like,
yeah. Which one? My favorite there is probably, they have a feel no pain, 5 up. I think you can also, or maybe it's a stratagem. You can make a core unit scoring, which is pretty dope.
So they have a 5-up invulnerable litany. What does it affect?
It's like one Black Templar core, Black Templar character within 6. Each time a model in that unit would lose a wound, roll a d6 on a 5-up is not lost.
That's real good.
Yeah, that one's super clutch.
5-up invulnerable on top of 5-up feel no pain. What's that unit you were worried about not being good enough in comparison to Blade Guard?
The Sword Brother?
I think Wyatt's trying to tell me something, but I can't hear him through the ether.
He would never be me.
Sword Brethren, but they're garbage for an entirely different reason.
Oh.
It's because they have to take one of each close combat weapon.
Yeah, they're kind of pigeonholed per every 5, I think.
Dog shit. You should never use them. Blade Guard is so
we speculated this would be the issue. Blade Guard it is, but now Blade Guard with 5 of feel no pain.
Ooh, yeah.
So get good scrub.
I mean, just like 20 assault intercessors
It's
with
better.
a 5 of feel no pain and a 5 of impulse save. Like, ooh.
That's real hard to fuck with, man. So that's a good one, Rob. Thanks for that one.
They also have another one that's called the Psalm of Remorseless Prosecution.
Yeah, the Psalms.
Where they do mortal wounds on top of the additional or top of regular damage in the wound roll. It's kind of similar to that thing that Grey Knights could do.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to use.
Is there a limit? Is there a cap?
It's a cap of 6.
6? Okay, that's the trend. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now remember too that they still have their chapter tactic. 5-up, feel no pain against mortal wounds and reroll charges and advances. I think so. They still get that, which is still pretty strong. Especially if you want to take that vow that you get an extra 3 inches of movement. Was that the anti-psychic one?
That's my least favorite one.
Yeah, it's
because
the for game anti-psychic one. It's
for not doing actions that could get a little dicey.
Okay, it's funny because the way it looks like it makes you feel like you should take it against a heavy psyker army, but you shouldn't. You should take it against a singular powerful psyker in an army like a Magnus or a Terran, because if you take it against Thousand Suns, you're gonna get fucked because they're gonna have endlessly little things that kind of psychers that they're gonna just move around the table and stop you from fucking doing actions.
Yeah, like really the only 2 ones to use is going to be Uphold the Honor of the Emperor, which is the 5 of impulse save one, right?
Yep.
And they have accept any challenge no matter the odds. And that's one where while you're in engagement range, it's always the assault doctrine, which can be really cool. -2 AP Astartes chainswords for your squads. Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
What do you give up for that one?
You can't fall back.
See, that one's a good one.
It's too far. You add 1 to the attack, right? And so even after you charge, because it doesn't stack with shock assault. So after you charge, you still get that +1 to your attack bonus.
It's synergetic with the fact
always
you
in the
can't
assault
fall back,
doctrine, right? So that one could be good, right, in certain situations. But that's what I'm saying. Like caveman, average Joe kind of thing for Black Templars, it's always going to be the 5 of impulse.
Damage mitigate, Marines don't need any extra help doing DPS. It's damage mitigation seems to be the.
And you can augment the auras too, the litanies with the Crusader's Helm, an extra 3 up to 9.
Oh, dope! That's a relic.
Yeah, it's a relic, and relics are actually kind of easy to get. Like you can get three in an army.
Speaking of relics, like Black Templars actually have like a new mechanic around relics where they have the relic bearer system.
Yep.
Where it's like you take a unit and you give them a relic for an increased point cost or power level cost. And so you can have like way more relics than everybody else. Like every single one of your units on the table can have a relic if you so choose. Right. So like every Crusader squad, every Blade Guard squad can have a relic if you want to.
Right. I think it's definitely worth it because there's some dope relics. Like you get the anti-psyker relic that does a couple different things depending on how you pop it. That I think is probably worth it. You can get the Breviary, which I think is maybe a go-to for chaplains because you can what is it? You get an extra D6 for
you can have a thigh bone that is polished to look like a wiener. That one's obviously cool.
And if you rub it, you get an extra D6.
Ooh, spicy.
But I think if you're taking these Master of Sanctities with like three of these things, you're going to want to auto pass one. You're going to want to get another one with that extra D6 and, just try to pop off your.
I really like the Holy Orb, not only because it's a reference to Monty Python, but it's a fight last thing, which is nice.
Yeah. F the mortal wounds part, like that squad fights last. That's powerful.
It's only once per battle, but that could be the once per battle that stops that succubus wombo combo that, loses you the game. Like that's real good.
That one thing you were talking about too, the relic that reduces damage. It's actually worded pretty interesting. You want to hear this?
Mm-hmm.
So it says each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 1.
Yeah.
It's almost like
we were talking about this in tactics, right? So initially you hear that you're like, ooh, I'm going to put this on my chaplain on bike who's already a beat stick. He's got like the Imperium sword and like all this other crazy shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hit him with this D3+3 weapon, takes 1 damage. Not so tight when you remember that he has a 3 up, 4 up, and 6 wounds. So basically every army in the game can find a way to easily make him fail 6 wounds relatively easy. So like cool for when he wants to go up against, something that does a lot of damage and he maybe clutches it out, but you have to be really careful with that because he could just roll up against the Castellan and that knight gives him the stomps and all he's got to do is fail a couple of saves and he's dead.
Nobody wants the stomps.
It is a strange wording. I'm leaning toward it's not right. Because sure, it's easy to remember that, but like most of the time a character's protected. It's not easy to access them. And kind of like a torpedo character getting the jump on a torpedo character is a very common way to solve a problem like that. But if this guy has you only do 1 damage to me scenario, he always wins in that fight. When probably based on what we've seen in other rules, it's meant to be a simple discussing resilience equivalent.
See, I don't know. So they have 2 things that do this, right? So the relic we're talking about is Tannhauser's bones, sick reference. And it specifically says each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 1, not reduced, right? They have another relic that's called the Crux Obsidian, which has the normal wordage. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack to a minimum of 1. So
okay,
I think this Tannhauser's bone things is supposed to be there, but when you think about it in the broader spectrum of 40K, like, yeah, this dude will tank that 1 Melta shot that gets through, like, dope. But when you attack him with a lot of stuff, all he's got to do is fail 4, 5, or 6 saves, and that's a Dead Space Marine hero.
I mean, I'd use him the same way I use my Lord Contagion. Put him in Terminator armor, deep strike him in the backfield. He's got fake transhuman, and you can only do 1 damage at a time to him. Like, that guy, you're never going to kill him. He's going to always do something in your backfield and piss you off, get you some recon points, get you some fucking, like, I like it.
Yeah, so it's like, it's how you use it. It's how you implement this super cool thing. So in the sense, the way that Kenny uses his Lord of Contagion, really good. You're going to roll up to a big Night Titan, Lord of Skulls, like some other type of thing, and think that you're just going to tank the sweep attack on that. Bad idea. It's not going to happen.
Yep, I realize my point. I believe it is that way, and I would take that as a very tactically flexible unit to help me with engage on all fronts, disruption of the backfield, especially if you can fuck at least medium and close combat still. It's really dope. You see someone's got like 5 guys sitting on objective in the backfield. They thought they screened you out 9 inches, but they didn't realize you're going to put 1 40mm base back there.
Yeah. In that instance, super good. In the instance of sending him in to think you're going to just like be the stallion that mounts the world, like, not gonna.
Well, it's also his relic. So he doesn't have like any of those, like, I do 1 billion damage relics. You know?
Exactly.
So I like it. And I do realize my point. I think I would take that. That's almost American Express card for me. Is there still a captain and Terminator armor option? You know what I mean?
You can still get one of the relic bearers can have the Crux Obsidian, which
a guy who can innately deep strike.
Oh, I mean, you can take all the normal Codex Space Marine stuff.
Yeah, that'd be my move for it. I'm basic like that. Little 40 millimeter base, just kind of in a cut. Gotta get that.
I was about to say, a librarian interior. Oh wait, no, they can't have any like fun stuff.
Maybe. Oh, can a guy have a thunder? Can like a captain and Terminator have a Thunderhammer Storm Shield still?
I think so.
That'd be in the Marine Codex.
And like, can I take this relic?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my guy, dude. That's my fucking dude.
Well, you might. I don't know if this is better or worse, but the other thing that the relic bearer can get, if you want him to have the Crux Obsidian for 15 points, it each time attack is allocated, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack to a minimum of 1. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, we just talked about that, man.
Yeah,
that was like the whole argument we just had for like 10 minutes. Was that he used that to reference the fact that the wording was not incorrect because they have both wordings and it's not a mistake. I'd rather have I can only take 1 damage on a guy with a 2-up save with a 4-up invulnerable who cannot be wounded on 2s on a single 40mm base who can fuck medium level in close combat with a Thunderhammer for a reasonable price tag that I can just offshoot deep strike in your backfield in a place that you thought you zoned me out, but you fucking didn't because it's one guy. Stand there, shoot.
Yep.
You get nervous now because this guy's coming for that ass. And you're like, I'm going to shoot this fucking chicken walker over there and kill this guy. I'm like, 1 wound. Cool. Cool story, bro. I'm going to shoot the other 2 chicken walkers. 2 wounds. Good. Cool story, bro. Still coming. Like, that shit is upsetting. Because that's kind of like what I do with my Lord of Contagion, right? I have the Hulk and Physique transhuman, so he can't be wounded on anything but a 4, right? He does -1 damage, not reduces it to 1, but has an extra wound. It's very similar math. And I used him for a 6-0 victory that way every fucking time, all 6 games at Vegas teams. And he never fucking died and always did exactly what I told you, that whole scenario. I see that in this Templar relic. I'm like, oh yeah. And how baller will it be to have like an old fucking 40mm Terminator Black Templar out like a motherfucker coming at you, dog. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure some people have a few of those laying around.
Yeah, I could see where a few people would have those as well.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for that because now Wyatt's convinced me that it's real, and so I want it.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That was all like the super big relics.
Like I wouldn't buy -1 damage. I would take it for free, like Death Guard. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just like it's not worth enough for me to pay for it. When there's other things that I would want. Like, so I would, but the fact that this other one exists, I'm like, oh yeah. Like,
Rob, I found the Castellan in the Codex. It's in the additional war gear options.
Oh.
So it says if a Primaris captain is from the Black Templars chapter, you can use the following additional war gear. It's called a Marshal. And same thing. If a Primaris lieutenant is from the Black Templars chapter, use the following war gear options. They're called the Castellan. So that's where he is.
So he's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant with more war gear options.
Yep. Oh, they started. So I guess the first time in this book, they have the auto flamer and auto plasma, which is basically a combi Primaris weapon that's new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Because everything basically has the auto bolter, which I thought was pretty neat. The Emperor's Champions too. There's no limit. It's just a character. I guess you can take as many as you.
Say 3.
Say 3.
Yeah, they can't get no relics, and you can't give them nothing special, but they kind of slap. They can like pile in towards.
So it's like doesn't take up a Force Orc slot. What is it like?
It's HQ.
It's an HQ slot.
So and there's no restriction on how many you can have.
No, it isn't like you can only take 1 per army or anything. And he basically like walks through shit to try to get to characters. I mean, he'll probably beat down something with 5 wounds. It's like a base duder, a base character of some kind. He's not going to kill like Morty or anything, but There was another thing too where you could tank all the hits, and maybe it's a stratagem that I thought was kind of neat. You could tank all the hits on a character.
What does that mean?
I don't know if that's good or bad though, because I don't know what kind of like combination you can make with the.
I mean, we can tank it all onto the guy who reduces everything to 1 damage. Seems pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I could see where that would be.
Because like, here's my like 5 hits or my 3 flat damage bullshit. You're like, my dude's taking it. Seems, I mean, I don't know what those mechanics are, but I'm like, yeah, I'll try to put everything I can on that guy.
I remember reading it. I will find it, and we will.
But I mean, right at the gate, you know, half foot in the door, transhuman, 5 up invulnerables, the ability to sling 5 up funeral pains at a 9-inch extension, with maybe a couple of clutch characters making it really hard to interact with them, with some just normal ass Space Marine shit, you know?
The Emperor's Honor.
Yeah, it's 2 CP. It says use a stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Black Templar's character, excluding vehicles, army, and 1 enemy character unit. Until the end of the phase, each time that enemy character unit is selected to fight, if the selected Black Templar's character unit is within engagement range of the enemy character, when your opponent is selecting targets for its attacks, those attacks can only target the selected Black Templar character unit.
Oh wow, that's. I mean, it's situational, undoubtedly.
Oh, for sure.
But wow, that strips you of some agency.
So I charge Mortarion with a unit of with a Crusader squad, and my beat stick guy with the thing, and I play that stratagem. Morty can only attack that guy.
Basically, yeah.
And my Crusader squad is free to give the fuck down on Morty.
That is, yeah. Like, yep. I'm going to interrupt you now. Like, so you're like, I charge first, right? And you even, I mean, you literally, it doesn't matter what you do now, right? Like, you're like, I'm going to go with my fucking super character. Oh, did some damage to Morty. Morty's like, I interrupt. I'm going after these guys. No, you're not. Going after me, dog. Bring your D6 plus 3 damage reduced to 1.
Nice. I like that. It's like a taunt.
It is.
It's your tank aggro thing.
Gotta chain that sword to your wrist.
I mean, that just what a removal of agency. Like, just strips. Like that's some fucking big dick energy right there.
Yeah, it's kind of
works hilarious. In some situation, doesn't work in others. I mean, like if the Turbo Succubus attacks that guy,
highly
situational. Oh, she has how many attacks? Oh, okay.
You better be stacking those 5 up funeral pains and shit real quick, dog. You can't make it out of that motherfucking shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he does have some high likelihood to get through it, though, because he does have 5 up funeral pain versus mortal wounds innately. Mm-hmm. He can have a 5 up funeral pain cast upon him because he's a character and that litany works, and you can auto pass that, so it's a non-issue. And she can't wound him. She's already wounded him on, not wound him on 2s, I believe. She's already wounded him on 3s. He actually is not terrible versus that fight.
Yeah.
Like, she's actually like, God damn it, I was really going to blend this unit, and now I'm going to try to blend you with a bunch of 1 damage attacks that you get either 4 up, 5 up against, or a 5 up. It's
going to be swingy, right? Because he's only got 5 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're fighting stuff, you definitely want to pick your battles. And so you want to try to tank stuff that doesn't deal mortal wounds on top of damage, because it's like if you have to take an invul save and you fail it, it's 1 damage plus a mortal wound for all those other things, right? And he's only got 5, so it's like.
But he only has 5. But I mean, she's gonna blend that unit.
Yeah,
that's guaranteed.
It will, and then like the 20-man Crusader squad is going to just schwack that Succubus in the next turn.
It's. I mean, even if he doesn't make it out of that fight, he did his job.
Yeah, exactly. He just kind of put up a "you shall not pass."
But mathematically, if it's the guy I'm preaching, he's going to mitigate 50% of her wound rolls, right? And then he's going to mitigate 33% of her mortal wounds on top, and then 33% of his failed wound rolls. Like, he probably survives, actually.
I'm just saying, temper your expectations. I've seen a lot of hubbub about this like thing on a character, right? Thinking that they're just gonna go in there and like nothing in the game can kill them kind of talk. And I'm just like, okay, temper your expectations because, just as an example, right? I know it's not the best example because I play a very skew chaos list. If you roll that dude up to my Lord of Skulls, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to smash you. I'm going to hit you with like 21 sweep attacks that all deal 1 damage, but you're taking an invul save against every single one of them. I only need you to fail 5 and you die immediately. So
she has to. So I mathed it out. So to like math guarantee, like just statistics guarantee, she has to physically wound him 10 times, and at least 2 of those have to be mortals on top. For him to be just on raw math, dead. So physically 10 actual wounds with two mortals popping off. Like, so it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It is doable, but it's actually like kind of staggering, like how resilient he is with this. It's only because of the bones thing too. Like that's a big part of it. And the fact that he, can have this 5 of Fatal Pain. Like if you have all your shit in the right place, always play that stratagem of force her onto him. Like,
so Helbrick has 8 wounds and a 4-up, 2-up.
Yeah, Helbrick's like a solid character.
Helbrick is a beast.
As a chapter leader.
Like, he can tank some shit.
His sword is pretty spicy. I like his sword a lot.
Yeah, ferocity.
I think so. He's got 6.
Oh, that was sword of a high marshal.
Yeah, so he's got 6 attacks plus 1 for shock assault. Rolling in there with 7 attacks with his 2-handed ×2 strength -3 damage power sword. Pretty spicy.
Yeah, if you swing it 2-handed for sure.
He slaps. There's a lot of slapping going on in this codex. But on top of the other really good cast Space Marine stuff. The stock Space Marine stuff. Like, they still have access to all the utility made better by this 5 of Invulnerable Vow. So you can play really good practical units that get the job done, have that Black Templar feeling and style, and feel like you're winning games.
I will say things that are popular right now in Space Marines that are keeping Space Marines competitive. Like the 2 major things are Contemptor Volkites and Vanguard Veterans, right? So I'm actually thinking with Black Templars, instead of the thing that we see, which is the Lightning Claw Storm Shield, you just take these guys with 2 Lightning Claws and just have them go even more ham in the fight phase.
Wasn't there something where you could explode on a... let me look.
Exploding, so we talked about it. They can do mortal wounds.
I mean, it just depends on what's like more efficient. Because I'm like, Blade Guard are dope, but I don't think spamming Blade Guard is the answer. Maybe like 1 Blade Guard to hang out with.
Well, they still have that push, right? They still have that strategy,
right? Devout push is still there, but it's largely nerfed. I'm just talking about like unit choices that are very efficient, right? Efficiency is.
Well, I think it's still always worth having some Blade Guard and a fucking Impulsor. Like, that's just like a thing that if you catch somebody on, that's fucking real good.
Especially since the Impulsor can basically get 5 up now.
So now it's basically fire and fade with more steps.
Yeah.
Because it has to be your push has to be closer to an objective marker or an enemy unit. So if you move that vehicle in such a way that when they get out and do their thing, they can devout push back into the vehicle if that vehicle is closer to an objective marker or an enemy unit, then you can do that. You can also do it with shooting units.
So you can actually be dealer's choice there. It could be like some fucking Hellblasters, doing it. It can be all sorts of tricks. It's worth having that combo in your army, just having it. Elements of the stuff we're talking about right now, some good Space Marine stuff sprinkled in, and just work the objectives like you do. Hit them with some Black Templar tech that they haven't seen before. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's a solid supplement that does add a unique feeling of Templarness to the Space Marine. Like, I
basically having like 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts that have a invul save for free is really good for Black Templars.
And are reducing already.
Like you're spending 0 resources because like everybody else, they have to do something. They have to have like a relic. They have to have a hero. They have to cast a psychic power to get the fail rate 5 up invul. Yeah, exactly. So it's like now, like, I mean, I definitely foresee a really solid Black Templars list being lots of Crusade squads, a couple of beatstick characters, maybe 1-2 units of Blade Guard veterans, a couple units of Redemptors, and like attack bikes and land speeders all of a sudden real good for Black Templars simply because they have an invul save. And it's like it gets you engaged, gets you a lot of really cheap, efficient melta shots all over the place. Like, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I sign off on it. I like it. I wasn't initially that impressed with some of the stuff, but now that we've talked it out, I'd be pretty stoked if I was a big Templar fan right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's the full out that the Psychic Awakening rules were, but I think it's more in line with the way other similar things are written in 40K right now.
They have a thing. Space Marines have a good book. So
yeah,
that's all that matters. You have a good book that you draw from, and you have an overlay of rules that make you feel like Templar that don't neuter or hamper that core set. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, so it's just like don't fall into the trap that a lot of other like specialist Space Marines do, like your Blood Angels and the Space Wolves, and get like too focused on things like like Blood Angels to their detriment, like really dick ride Sanguinary Guard and Death Company.
You don't need to you don't need
a
the
whole
dick ride
codex of options. Right? Yeah. Same thing with Black Templars. Like don't dick ride Crusader squads and Sword Brethren when you have all of these other options that are still very much Black Templar Space Marines that are also really good. Like look at those before you
at least temper your expectations towards success on the tabletop. Like, there's you may not have the same degree of success if you do dick ride those units, but you're totally allowed to dick ride those units. I dick ride a lot of units.
Can you say that again, but slower so I can record it?
Mm-hmm. OTPHJs all day or day. So I feel like we crushed that segment out right at this moment. Wyatt is teleported away from the screen. I think he's
muted and teleported. That's quite the feat.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll just take us out then. So head on over to thelongwar.net and become a veteran of the Long War today. But no, for real though, because we need like some more people to sign up so we can do this t-shirt thing. Go do it.